Hi guys, we are about to give you the tea about our 20s. And here is the truth. I'm Pius.
And I'm Solomon.
Welcome to the tea. Wow, Solo.
Sema dude.
Mzuri bana. Tell me, what were you doing in your 20s?
Hey, my 20s. My 20s were very interesting and very, very rough. I would say. I mean, we've spoken a bit about it on other content productions we've made. You know, my experience leaving high school. Usual thing. After high school, did computer classes, blah, 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 got my driver's license. I was my dad and mom's chauffeur for 2 years. Kazi ya mkono, anything and everything they needed done, that's what I did. And then when I was 20 years old and 5 months old.
Oh, that's precise.
Yes, I left, this was December 28th, 1998. I left Kenya to go study architecture in the US. Our generation, that's many of us.
That was the flow.
Left.
Yeah.
And you know, I had a bunch of cousins who had preceded me, so the FOMO was there. I also wanted to go and experience this US college thing. So I landed in Georgia and loved school, man. I loved my time out there. It was exotic, it was fresh, it was new. And unlike my high school years, I excelled academically. I was in the top 10th percentile nationwide in the US for the School of Building Arts.
Wow.
Was inducted
but that doesn't surprise me, knowing who you are.
Well, thank you for being kind. You know, I tell people all the time, they don't believe me. But I loved my time out there. And I think for me, that was the first time I realized that what I was doing was going to have long-lasting implications on the rest of my life. You know, before that, it's like whatever. The most you think about is a year. Exams, nini, DL, going out, having a good time, you know, where am I getting pocket money from? But now, you know, I'm in a situation where you're in an environment where you're learning how to pursue a career or your calling that's going to regulate the rest of your life. And for me, that was the first time it dawned on me. And I took it very seriously, which is why I didn't muck around in school. Also started to learn lessons about your friends. Who do you have hanging around you? So just fast forward, it was 5 years I was in Savannah, Georgia. 3 of those years I was in class. 2 of those years I had dropped out because my parents, my whole family was going through a financial hardship and they couldn't afford my school fees anymore. So I was in this season of trying to figure out a way to get back to school, limited income generating opportunities. Those are real issues, right? So
yes.
mom and dad can't support me anymore by no fault of their own. Like, crap. How do you raise money to go to school? You know, these are weighty, these are weighty issues. And there's laws around how you can do that as a foreign student.
Yes.
You're not allowed to work outside of campus. Friends were doing this thing where they would lie or buy a social security card, which here it's like the equivalent of buying a KRA pin so that you can get employed, which then introduces ethical questions like, am I okay doing that? And then the fear of what will happen if I get caught.
Yes.
Mom and dad are not here to bail me out. Like I'm screwed if things go south. I'm here by myself.
Yeah.
These are very serious issues, and then therefore I started to look to friends. Who are my friends? What are they doing? Because a bunch of us were going through similar situations, and so I started to think about how to make money. And I remember one time, this is like 4 years in, 4.5 years in, before I left Savannah, I got a bunch of friends together and I said, guys, I have an idea how we can make like good money legally. Let's get together, you know, combine our strengths, our skills, our thoughts, our energy. Let's do this thing, man. And guys were looking at me like, what's this guy on about? And I immediately embarked on a process of removing myself from those friendships, because I realized they were not going to help me get where I needed to be in life.
And here you're still in your early 20s.
Yeah, I was about 23. 23 at the time. And just realizing that, hey, the people I have around me are going to impact the way I think. They're going to influence my income opportunities. Like, do I want to give that person that much power over my life? Because the truth is, whether or not you like it, they do. You know, that's when I had someone say, show me the 3 or 5 people you hang around with most and I'll predict your future. And that was a scary thing for me at the time, because the guys I was hanging around with, I did not want.
You didn't like the average?
No, no. And so I started to make conscious and deliberate choices about who I'm going to spend time with. And it was a painful time, because it's not as if you can exit a relationship and start another one just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, these are relationships I'd built over 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And remember, I mean, a foreign land, mom and dad, my 2 sisters are nowhere around to support me emotionally, socially. And so that was painful, because all of a sudden I was alone. I didn't have any peers to talk to except for my girlfriend at the time. And, you know, I would say that's the first time I started adulting, as they say. So, yeah, that was it for my early 20s, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I think for me it has sort of explained something I've always noticed about you: excellence.
Which is what?
Excellence. Your passion for excellence. Those were the roots, man.
You think so?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for saying that. Honestly, I never feel like I have had a handle on it, and that's the thing about excellence. It's not a destination you'll ever arrive at. Yeah. There's always room for improvement. Yes. But yeah, possibly you're right, man. How about you? What were your 20s? Because I met you when we were mid-30s.
Mid-30s, yes.
Yeah.
I think for me, you know, background, where you're coming from always has an impact on how you approach your early 20s. And for me, the rough part of my life was in my teens, the late teens, when I was finishing high school. And my dad had lost his job. It was so difficult to pay for school fees. In fact,
no way.
I had...
in your late teens?
Yes.
Wow.
I actually finished high school on bursary. I had well-wishers paying for me, because things were so rough at home. My dad was still trying to find himself, and that's the thing. If you let your job define you, and if you as a family depend on active income, when that thing is pulled away from you, then the whole thing crumbles. But you can see how that has ended up affecting my life today.
When you said that, you know, something clicked. I was like, no wonder this guy is always screaming about passive, active income. Blah,
absolutely, blah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I was coming from this background, and I knew that for me, going to uni, which was funded by the government, was a must-do. So luckily, I was among the 5 out of 240 students who made it to uni. Lots of work behind it. And something else happened for me to start changing my life, preparing myself for the 20s. I also had a period where I had to leave a certain set of friends and start like a new way of living, I was among those guys, you know, who would go for jam sessions on Sundays. My mom and my dad would be like, "But now where does this guy go on Sundays?" After church, you disappear somewhere. I've always loved music. I've always loved dancing, even today.
You dance? Okay. Yeah, that's I haven't imagined you dancing.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Continue,
These are some of the things that are hidden in us, you know.
Yes.
But music and dancing have always been something close to my heart.
Yeah.
And so that is sort of what really took me to jam sessions. I wasn't the kind of guy who would party the wrong way, you know, just one Fanta the whole time. You're there to dance, you're in the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know, from start of jam session to the end of jam session, on one soda, you know. Yeah. We had our own set of rules as guys, you know.
Exactly the same. Yeah. Drinking a Sprite or a Fanta.
Or a Fanta.
All night, yeah.
You know, we had this informal, non-written rules, you know. You go for jam sessions to dance, but you don't come out with girlfriends and that kind of stuff. I mean, it helped us to balance between fun and, you know, preserving ourselves. So when I was now joining university, I knew it was very key. It was the first set of credentials that would be very important on how I start my life. So I didn't really party in uni. I was done with jam sessions, so I was like, that's a life I left behind.
Really?
So when everybody else was partying in uni, I was very calm. I didn't really participate.
You've gotten it out of your system.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I know what you guys are going through. These, you know, guys who are coming from Alliance, all these boarding schools.
Alliance,
so it was like they had familiar.
You can't
I was coming from a day school and experienced everything. Yeah. So I think it really helped me to have a calm life and start thinking seriously about my life. I was also doing CPA. Remember, we had a 2-year period between high school and uni. Yeah. For those who are left behind. So I joined KCA, Kenya College of Accountancy. Later on, I joined Strathmore, and I started my CPA. So by the time I was doing second year, I had finished. I was a certified public accountant, finalist, CPA finalist.
Oh, wow. Second year in campus.
Second year in campus. Okay. Second year in campus. Okay. So that sort of, you know, posed another question for me. What do I do with the extra time? Because you know, it was always you're coming from class, running to school, to Strathmore, coming back. It's evening, eating late. You're always behind everybody else. So then I was like, okay, we can try some businesses. I still tried some biashara. I think that's where the roots of entrepreneurship began. Okay. Made a few bucks in.
What did you start with?
I sold sausages in campus.
You sold sausages?
I sold sausages in campus. But the idea was very simple. Make the sausages, deliver them to tuck shops when I'm going to class. Yeah. And the guys at the tuck shop would sell. Then I'm coming from class. I'm like, okay, I can see my sausages are gone. So where is my cash?
They can't tell you they didn't sell.
They can't tell you they didn't sell. So I actually introduced sausages in campus.
Interesting. Okay.
I also sold diskettes. You remember those days?
Yes.
We had diskettes. So you're among the first guys.
What, the square ones?
The square ones.
Yes.
So when I was given my pocket money, which was very hard to come by, I would pass by town, buy a box of diskettes, go deliver them again to tuck shops. Guys buy. I collect my money, pay them commissions. Yeah, so that sort of started this idea that, you know, you can have an idea in your mind and you can commercialize it. I was very excited when people started copying it because people copied, I left that and went into other things. But for me, the victory was I can think of an idea, commercialize it, and it becomes so powerful
Yeah.
that everybody wants to copy it. That was liberating, so it set me up.
Okay.
But for me, I think, again, my early 20s were more about developing character.
But were you aware at the time that that's what was going on? At what point did you become conscious?
24 to 26 is when I really got serious about developing my character. Just when I finished my uni, around 24 years, I got myself into a lot of self-development books.
Wow.
Around the same time, I also got born again. So I had these two themes running in my life. I'm self-developing and I'm learning more about my relationship with God. So, and I would be sitting in a church and I'm listening to the pastor. I'm like, I'm in a self-development class, you know. So I was very conscious about developing my character. I really wanted to develop a solid character. So I started putting things down. And that was very, very helpful for me until 26 when I defined my success.
Okay. Well, you know, as you're talking, I just realized, even though I've known you for 10 odd years now, a whole decade.
Yes.
We've never had a conversation about
this.
Our earlier years.
Yes.
That's really cool because I noticed a couple of similarities.
Yes.
You talked about selling sausages.
Yes.
To make money, pocket money,
Yes.
and so on. Before I left for the US, 19 to 20, I had a really good friend from high school, Pius Muchiri was his name. Brian and I were in high school together he joined Form 2 and Maliza together, and we were thick as thieves, you know, two peas in a pod. At some point, people even started to say we look like twins.
Yeah.
We had very similar interests, and he had this auntie who would fly to and fro the States.
Yes.
I think once a month or something like that, and she would buy factory reject products from outlets in the US that would not make it into the store for retail. She'd buy them cheap, ship them over, and sell them for profit.
Wow.
And you know, the margins were silly.
Yes.
So she particularly had a very good selection of colognes and perfumes.
Yeah.
You know, the Fahrenheits,
Yes.
the Cool Waters, and you know, the ones we always
Yes.
were after as young men,
Yes,
trying to smell fresh.
Yes.
And she gave us an opportunity to sell on consignments. She would give us a bunch, tell us, listen, I want 2,300 shillings for each of these things. I don't care what you sell them for, just give me my 2,300, and from the 2,300, I'll give you guys a 300 bob commission to share.
Yeah.
So Brayo introduced me to the aunt. She gave us a consignment, and I was selling those suckers for like 5K, because you know they used to retail for on average 6,500 to like 8,000 bobs in the store.
Yes.
So I would call all my friends, family. Every time there was a family function, I would have my bag of colognes. Sell for, you know, double what we were paying Brian's aunt. And I saved up enough cash over 6 months to buy my first plane ticket.
Wow.
Out of Kenya to SA, because I was in love with this chick. Her dad sent her to SA to keep her away from me. He believed I was hell-bent on
the wrong influence.
impregnating her. He actually said that to me. So I was very motivated, but I realized now, looking back, that was the first time I exercised this entrepreneurial thing.
Yeah.
So how do I make money?
Yeah.
I understood, you know, source pricing, margins. I had to learn how to convince another human being to purchase a product from me. It's a very specific process.
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't have an opportunity to explore and develop. And it's key to whatever you're doing, whether you're in business, whether you're in government, politics, whatever. It's about persuasion.
Yes.
And so that's really interesting. For you, it was sausages. For me, it was perfumes.
Perfumes, yeah. And you know, it's interesting you say that, because whenever I'm called upon to speak to young people, I always say there are two most important skills that you must have, everybody must have in life, if possible.
Yeah.
And the first one is selling.
Well, everyone is selling.
If you can't sell, you can't succeed.
Absolutely.
You will be an employee for the rest of your life.
True. Although, it's a discussion we've had with our team in the office.
Yes.
I'm trying to teach it to my kids now.
Yes.
We are all selling.
Yes.
We're selling ourselves to our friends. We're selling ourselves to the chick or the guy that we were attracted to.
Yep.
There are certain things you do to convince.
Yes.
That's a selling.
Yep.
It's just that most
we're
of us
always pitching.
Yeah, when we don't think about it that way.
Yes, but we're always pitching.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So jobs, whatever business opportunities, people segregate that to sales, but your whole life is about pitching
selling.
and selling.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely right, man. I wish I had learned that deliberately sooner.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for that experience.
Yeah.
19, 20, 24, 25, just like you.
Yeah.
When I divorced myself from my group of friends,
Yes.
the ones I had known up to that point.
Yes.
I also embarked on a very aggressive, deliberate self-learning journey, self-empowerment. I had a giant library of books. They were all about money, how to make money, think and grow rich, those ones.
Napoleon.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yes.
Even though I couldn't afford it, my girlfriend at the time was so gracious. She would drop me off at this bookstore called Books A Million. It's a huge bookstore chain. It's like 20,000 times the size of Textbook Center, all over the States. And they would have magazines, and there was always a Starbucks at the center. And even though I couldn't afford to buy the magazine, I had the $2.50 for the coffee, buy my coffee, go grab a Forbes Millionaires magazine, Billionaires magazine, and just consume. I was hell-bent on learning how to make this thing that seems to have so much impact on our lives. Because the reason I was out of school, I'm a college dropout. The reason that happened was not because I had bad grades. I was in the top 10th percentile. And I loved it. I never skipped class. The reason I could not complete my college was because we ran out of money.
Active money.
Yes. Now you get into those segments, right? But this thing called money seemed to have such a huge impact on everyone's life, the quality of life, opportunities you had access to or were denied, dependent on
money.
This thing. So I got really aggressive about learning how to make it. And I quickly learned that it started with
your mindset.
My mindset. And that, therefore, I surrounded myself with all this information.
Yes.
And that's when I started to look for specific kinds of people I could be around.
And it's interesting because, we've spoken about one, getting exposed to selling as early as possible is so critical. And the second thing you say that is coming out very strongly is you need to develop yourself. The best investment you can ever do is investment in yourself, and it's investing in the right books, not Tintin. You need to read
romantic novels.
Or romantic novels. you need to read the right books that will challenge your mindset, to start changing your mindset. I had this guy called Jim Rohn. He used to drop me an email every day. And when I wake up in the morning, it was one of the things I had to read. So he introduced me to a very interesting concept that he was calling it small changes, big results. small changes, big results. And I started waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and after every 15 minutes, I would switch to something different. After every 15 minutes, I switch to something. So first 15 minutes. Small changes, big results. So first 15 minutes is for my devotion. Second 15 minutes, I'm reading a book.
Yeah.
Third 15 minutes, I'm writing down my CV. I need to send a CV to someone. Like that. Then I started pushing the boundaries. It became 5 o'clock. Time was no longer enough.
Yes. Yeah.
Then 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I tried 3. My body started giving up.
Right.
But the thing was, it started teaching me about to manage time and to do the right things, especially very early in the morning. So by the time you're getting into a mat, you're going to work or wherever you're going, you are so way ahead of everybody else. You can't even feel it. It's so tangible. You get to the office, your mindset is so different. My first job was in AR, and as an accountant. Our chief accountant used to come and ask me, I want you to do this thing for me. Can you create time for it? Because he had learned that my time was so sliced and it was so well planned, and anything that fell in there was perfectly executed.
Okay.
It was the perfect way to introduce me to the working life. But the thing is, it started from reading books.
Yeah.
It started from being mentored.
Yes.
It wasn't a physical mentorship, but it was online mentorship.
Yes.
That had such amazing impact. Until today, I still believe in, small changes, big results. What you can do, just when you're in the lift, you're putting on your AirPods, and you go to your Kindle on your phone. How much you can read? You can read a page just from ground floor to 9th floor.
Yeah.
It's about optimizing these marginal times, but again, that comes from mindset, and that's the importance of reading good books.
Yeah. Well, that's huge, because that becomes more critical as you get older, right? Small changes. So, as you mentioned that, for me, what brought that home, I didn't hear it that way. I wish I heard it that way, because that's simpler to remember. But for me, at the time, I was going to all these conferences, especially church ones, and I heard this preacher of the gospel explain it this way. He said, this is the anatomy of a human being. Everyone, everything, from the first one to the last one, is composed this way. And if you understand it, you can create the sort of life and future you want.
Yeah.
And he started by saying, step number 1 is, words. Words create thoughts.
Yep.
So if you hear a word, immediately you picture it. And it's automatic, it's subconscious. You have no control over it. Yeah. If I start describing a big dog, it's brown in color, has giant fangs, it's growling behind these cafes. Your brain is already constructing that
I'm already
image.
imagining.
Right.
Yeah.
But those thoughts, if they stay there long enough, evoke emotion. That's number 3.
Yeah.
Words become thoughts which evoke emotions. Makes you feel something. And those emotions cause you to act in a particular way.
You're compelled.
Yes,
Yeah.
you act somehow. And if you repeat that action enough times, it becomes a habit. That's how habits are formed.
Yep.
Repetitive action, which were triggered by an emotion. That emotion was there because of a thought you had, which was created by something, a word.
Yes.
Whether it's something you heard or something you read.
You read, yes.
But that habit then drives you into your destiny.
Because your habit becomes it forms your character.
Yes.
And The rest,
and
the rest flows from that.
Your destiny, you can't do anything about it.